Moving to a new place can be an exciting yet overwhelming experience. This is especially true when it's somewhere that you're not familiar with, such as Langley BC. While there's many things to love about this city, there's also some downsides that you need to be made aware of before making the move. In this video, I'll be discussing the 5 worst things about living in Langley BC. What's going on, guys? My name's Alex Dunbar and I'm a local realtor who lives and works out of Langley. If this is your first time on our channel, I make weekly videos pertaining to the BC and Canadian real estate market, as well as showcase community tours across the Lower Mainland. So if that's something you're interested in seeing more of, I suggest you subscribe to our channel and hit the bell so you're notified whenever we come out with a new video. And with that, let's dive right into today's topic. Living in Langley has its perks, but one challenge that many residents face is the limited public transportation. So what's the deal with it? Well, the main way to get around using public transit is by bus, but here's where things get a little bit tricky. First off, the buses don't come around as often as you'd want. Imagine waiting for a bus when you're already running late for school or work. That can be a huge bummer. And if you're thinking you can just check the schedule and plan your day around it, then think again. The bus timings can sometimes be a bit unpredictable. Another problem? When it's rush hour, the buses can be packed. Sometimes it feels like everyone in the city decided to take the bus at the same time. Not exactly the best way to start or end your day. When I used to take public transit to get to university, I thought I'd be able to make the most of my travel time by studying or doing assignments while I was riding the bus. But I soon found out this wasn't gonna happen because the majority of the time you don't actually get a seat, and even when you do, it's extremely loud and crowded, making it difficult to concentrate. Another issue that many people have is that bus routes aren't always the most direct. This means whether you're trying to go from one spot in Langley to another or outside of the city, you might find yourself taking a couple of detours. This is especially tough for those living a bit further out from the city center who have jobs or school downtown. And if you're thinking about moving to Langley without a car, you're going to want to really consider what your daily life looks like, as it could present a challenge. If you need to make the trek into Vancouver on a daily basis, you're going to be adding a long commute to your schedule. But if you're able to work from home or only need to go into the office a few days a week, you're probably going to be fine. On a positive note, you'll never have any trouble getting an Uber or a taxi in Langley, as there's always plenty around the city. So to summarize, if you're thinking of moving here, I suggest that you have a car already or at least consider getting one. However, if you're in one of the more transit-friendly neighborhoods like Willoughby, Langley City, or Walnut Grove, you may be able to get by. The next downside of living in Langley is the cost of living itself. Langley ranks among the priciest cities in BC, but this shouldn't really come as a surprise, as it is located in Greater Vancouver, less than an hour away from Vancouver itself. And the largest expense? Well, I think this one's pretty obvious, as it's housing costs. If you dream of owning a single family detached house here, the average price is north of $1.5 million. As for townhomes and condos, you're looking at an average price just over $850,000 and $600,000 respectively. And even if you're thinking of renting, you might be surprised at how much you'll have to pay every single month. The current rental prices here are just over $2,000 a month for a 1-bed, nearly $2,500 a month for a 2-bed, and nearly $3,300 for a 3-bed. Now, home prices and rent prices will obviously vary a little bit depending on a number of factors. However, these are just the averages. Additionally, depending on the time that you watch this video, prices likely could be different, so I will put links in the description both to the current home prices and rent prices that will update on an ongoing basis. But moving along, it's not just housing that's expensive. When you go to the store, you might notice that your grocery bill is a little bit more than you would have expected. If you're wanting to order food or go and eat at a restaurant, prices have increased in recent years. As for utilities like electricity, water, and other essentials, well, yep, unfortunately, those are pricey too. And don't even get me started on gas prices. Currently, the Lower Mainland has some of the highest, if not the highest gas prices in the country, sitting at around $2 per liter. But in reality, you're not going to be able to avoid this anywhere else in the Lower Mainland. Langley isn't an exception. The cost of living is up everywhere. But in comparison to Vancouver and some of the other cities on the other side of the Fraser River, the biggest savings will be in the housing costs, with Langley coming in at around a 30% discount for both home prices and rent prices. So if you're thinking about moving to Langley, you'll need to plan your finances well. And of course, it's extremely important to keep in mind the cost of living before moving here, so you can plan out what your monthly expenses are and make sure you're able to afford it. And I think it goes without saying that these expenses can also vary depending on your lifestyle. Moving on, let's talk about the next worst part about Langley. Because Langley is a rapidly growing city, guess what it comes with? You got it. Traffic. During busy times like the morning and afternoon rush hours, the city's streets can get super packed. If you're driving to work, school, or even just trying to grab some groceries, you might find yourself stuck in a sea of cars more often than you'd like. And here's the thing, it's not always easy to predict when traffic will be bad. Accidents or unexpected events can suddenly jam up the roads, turning a quick trip into a long, slow drive. If you're someone who needs to stick to a tight schedule, this can really mess up your plans and add to your daily stresses. If you live in or are planning to move to Langley, it might be a good idea to leave a little bit early and have some patience ready for the road ahead. And what you should know is that the worst traffic occurs on 200th and 208th Street. If you're trying to get across the city, whether that's to get to a location on the other side or just get to the highway, you'll likely have to take one or the other. 200th is the larger and busier of the two, but 208th only has a single lane in certain parts, which is where the majority of the traffic jams occur. The city is in the process of widening these streets, which will be great in the long term, but will likely only cause further delays in the short term. So if these are constant routes that you'll be needing to take, you'll want to know the times of day that you'll be using them. Moving on to our next con about living in Langley is the crime and homelessness. Langley is mostly safe and peaceful, but like many cities, it has its challenges. Some areas of the city deal with more crime than others, and especially property crime. This means things like break-ins or theft can be more common in certain neighborhoods. If you live in one of those areas, you might feel worried about your stuff or even your safety. On top of that, the city has seen a rise in gang-related incidents in the past few years. This is a big concern because it can make parks, streets, or other public places feel less safe than they should be. New data from Stats Canada shows that crime rates are generally declining in both Langley City and the township, but violent crime rates are coming down more slowly. And something to note is that Langley City has, for some time, had a higher crime rate than the township. Another thing people notice is the homelessness. There are folks without homes in Langley, and this can be a tough situation for everyone involved. Homelessness can sometimes be linked to other problems like drug use, which can also affect how safe an area feels. There are a number of homeless shelters in the area, along with different social service establishments. On top of that, there's also a handful of secondhand stores and the Cascades Casino, both of which don't always attract the best crowds. All these issues combined can make some people in Langley feel a little bit disconnected from their community. Feeling safe and connected is super important for a good quality of life, so it's essential for the city to work on these challenges. What I do want to point out though is that the vast majority of the crime, homelessness, and drug use occurs in the downtown core of Langley. This means that it's quite contained for the most part, and if you avoid the problem neighborhoods in the area, you're gonna be just fine. Moving on to the next downside of the city is its nightlife. Living in Langley has a lot of perks, but when it comes to nightlife and entertainment, most would agree that it's pretty much non-existent. Compared to bigger cities, Langley has fewer places to hang out at night aside from your local pub or casino. There are no nightclubs whatsoever. There used to be a few back when I was just getting into the clubbing scene, but those days have now been gone for a number of years. Sure, there's some cool restaurants, bars, and cafes, but the options aren't as many as you'd find in a place like Vancouver. A big thing people notice is that Langley doesn't really have a lively downtown area. For people who like staying out late and enjoy the nightlife scene, this can be a real bummer. And this makes it tough when you want to go out but feel like there aren't many places to go. If you're wanting to have a night out on the town, your best bet is just to head into Vancouver. This is where you're going to find your most options as well as your fellow party people. The only downside is that if you're planning to have a late night and don't book a hotel or Airbnb, you'll need to take a cab or Uber home as the SkyTrain shuts down around 1:30 a.m. and public transit shuts down before midnight. I remember back when I was 19 and you could find a cheap hotel for around $120 to $150 per night, but now you'd be lucky to find anything under $300. The ride home will probably cost you about $100, which isn't too bad if you split it between a group, but these rates can go up during certain nights of the year. So just be aware and don't get taken advantage of. But if you're someone who's not looking to party until the sunrise and you're just looking for some fun social settings, Langley has a ton to offer. It's become a hub for craft breweries in recent years, which is something I'm a big fan of personally, if you couldn't tell. You've also got a number of wineries and distilleries as you head further east, many towards the southern part of Langley. And you can't forget about the dozens of incredible restaurants and bars across the city, ranging from small family-owned businesses to big, well-known restaurant chains. So if you're someone like me who likes a little bit more of a laid-back lifestyle, but still plenty of options for things to do and places to go outside of the nightlife scene, then Langley's got you covered. So while Langley has so many great attributes and reasons to want to live here, it's important to be aware of the downsides before making the decision to move. And my hope is that this video shed some light on those topics and gave you more of an unbiased opinion on the city itself. However, if you can see past these minor challenges and you're willing to take them on, then Langley can be a great place to call home. And just before we end this video, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the matter. What do you think the worst part about Langley is? Did I get it all right, or did I miss anything? Let me know down below. And if you are considering buying or selling in Langley or any of the surrounding cities for that matter, or you just want to talk about real estate, you can scroll down and click the first link in the description to book a call with me at a time that works best for you. If you did get any sort of value from this video whatsoever, all I ask is that you hit the thumbs up button and share this with a friend that you think would find it valuable as well. I make videos like this every single week, so if you'd like to see more of them and be the first to know, I suggest you consider subscribing to our channel. Before you head out of here, make sure you check out another video on our channel. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.